Hail Internet, it's Paul, it's Matt, the Dork Lords. Today, we are talking about the 4th episode, the new HBO series, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. The episode entitled, The Seven. We open with an imprisoned Duncan, arrested for assaulting Prince Arion. And we're about to learn that Prince Darren has also accused him of kidnapping Egg. Egg apologetically arrives at Duncan's cell, saying he desperately wanted to be a squire in the tournament, but his older brother Darren had no intention of entering the lists, so he faked his way onto Team Duncan. Duncan is obviously hurt at the deception, but he agrees to answer Baelor's request to speak with him. We end with Duncan being betrayed by Sir Stefan, leaving him short 2 nights to compete in the Trial of 7. Stefan's squire and cousin, Raymond, asks Duncan to knight him so that he can fight on Team Duncan. For reasons that we'll chat about, Duncan is slow to knight Raymond himself, so Sir Lionel does it for him. That leaves Duncan still 1 night short.
Yes.
He makes a plea to the gathered nobles, garnering a flatulent good riddance response and some chuckles. But just as all seems lost for Duncan, a rider steps up to complete the team. It's none other than Arion's uncle, next in line to the throne, Baelor. Time to fight. Credits. All that said, Paul.
Matt.
What'd you think of episode 4?
Yeah, another fine episode that I enjoyed. You know, even though I feel as if you could have just done a little bit more and you could have recapped the whole episode.
Right. There's not a lot to talk about here, but there are some interesting moments.
Sure. You know, knowing what's going to come, now it's just a question of, to what extent they will follow or diverge from the book.
Very true. Why do you think that Duncan struggles to knight Raymond, having Lionel step in to conduct the
fights? The closest they appear to have gotten to showing Duncan be knighted is that one bit where, his previous guy show him in a position where he could have knighted him, and he just sort of seems to nod,
Okay, yeah. Agreed. We have not seen him knighted. And there is a strong implication that he has not been knighted.
Yes.
And so that's your thought. And I think you're right if you're suggesting that Duncan, because he knows that he is not a knight. And so, I mean, in fact, interestingly, Lionel gives a line that I think is the writers telling us what their motivation is. Because Lionel says, any knight can make a knight. Kind of telling us, the audience, yes. Oh, you'd have to be a knight to do that. Got it. And so, I think Duncan, knowing he's not actually a knight, he doesn't want to extend his lie to Raymond. I think that's what's happening there. Yeah. I mean, I suppose the other possible motivation could be that he doesn't want to feel responsible for Raymond dying for him. Maybe, I don't know, but I think at this point he's like, let's go, all hands on deck. But yeah, so I think it's that sense of I'm not actually a knight. I don't have the right to give you what you're asking. I think that's going to get resolved in some way. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets knighted by somebody. Like maybe Lionel knights him. Maybe Lionel has figured out in this moment, oh, the reason you were so slow is because you're not actually a knight.
Maybe.
Why don't I just do this for you? Like in retrospect or something. I don't know. Just saying.
I hear you. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if it never gets resolved.
Yeah, good point. It's just like, were you ever? Oh yeah, yes. It just becomes like the legend of Arlen, and
because he's certainly going to get a reputation after this. Yep. People will start to say, sir, this,
Yep.
So.
Yep. Duncan
especially if he has. You might be right though that they resolve all the issues. Presumably, what happens after all of this, we'll see.
Yeah, I do think, despite the brevity of the episode and such, and all the plot that has to happen in it, I do feel like Duncan does have a pretty satisfying arc in this episode.
Oh, sure.
He starts out pretty resigned to his fate. I'd say depressed. I mean, I would be too. But
sure.
There's no way he's got. It's midnight. by dawn, he's got to somehow find 6 knights who are willing to go fight for him. And he's like, that's not going to happen. So, all right, whatever fate awaits me, I think. And so, as he has these conversations with different folks, even some that are lying to him, Stefan comes to mind, it gives him hope, if not false hope.
Yes.
But it finally leads to giving him that strength of conviction, I think, that maybe I could pull this off, to deliver that line where he's like, has courage deserted the noble houses of Westeros? I will not believe it so. Are there no true knights among you? That version of Duncan, I'm not sure. I'm not sure the version of Duncan we saw at the beginning of the episode would have had the wherewithal to like deliver that line. I think he was kind of just like, okay, I can't beat the system.
Maybe.
And that's kind of where I thought he was coming down, but.
Maybe.
So anyway, I liked it. I liked the
I mean, one thing that occurred to me, because it's like that whole event, the tourney, had one character, and now it's another. Now this trial is going to come and all that. And certainly, in terms of an audience, it's like, oh, good, now we're going to see a fight, But I feel as if that Duncan has a better shot at this than he would have had in the competition against all those fine knights.
Oh, good point. Good point. Right, he's got some competent people fighting on his side, especially with Baelor now. Baelor and Lionel, that's a nice combo. Plus, I'll say this: there is a certain advantage. I think the show will explore in that Aerion has members of the Kingsguard fighting for him. Baelor being next in line to the throne means they're sworn not to harm him.
Okay.
So basically, they can't touch him in the duel, which would it's going to make for an interesting tactical dynamic on the battlefield. Like, yeah, we're dueling, but those guys can't. So what if I position myself, that kind of thing. So it'll just be an interesting. And we've already got Darren has said, I'm just gonna fall off my horse, and so he's already committed to not fighting. That's his way of saying like, hey, we're even. I just sentenced you to death for kidnapping a prince, but you know what I'll do when we fight? I'll fall down. So we're good, right? Okay, good.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you might be right that Duncan is the only one who's motivated to really fight, since he's fighting for his freedom and life, really. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I almost wonder if those kings got to be like, hey, here's my chance to clock these guys.
Great points. In some ways, then, too, I suppose with Baelor's this act. I mean, this is like kind of like the heroic act, certainly of the episode, but maybe arguably of the season. He's decided to duel his own royal family because he feels they have treated Duncan unfairly, and so that's a big ask. Big ask of somebody to do. Even assuming no one dies. He's basically ruined Westeros Thanksgiving dinners for decades. There'd be an icy conversation there with the brother and the brother's son.
Right.
They're like, oh, what's been going on in your life, Baelor?
Right. And look at how Stefan and Raymond are brother against brother as well.
Right. Great point.
They really managed to raise the stakes for this.
They did. It's not simply just like a political exercise. This is like, okay, no, there are some real loyalties on the line. There is a sense of danger, obviously. You've got 14 people, charging at each other. Bad things can happen. So, there's some cool stakes. And, almost certainly we're going to see this play out in episode 5. And then we'll have, I assume, there'll be some postlude things happening in episode 6 where we set up for what would be. I think there's already. Season 2's already.
Yeah. There's certainly 2 other novellas. So.
Well, yeah, for sure. But I think it's even.
Of course. I mean, yeah.
But yeah. So, do you remember, Paul, the Laugh Olympics?
No.
Does that sound familiar to you? It was back in the 70s.
Yeah. Okay.
So Hanna-Barbera came up with a gimmick to introduce all of its characters into one show, and it was like an Olympic-style sporting event, which is fitting given the Winter Olympics are happening right now. But so there were always 3 teams. There were the Scooby-Doobies, the Yogi Yahooies, And then all of their villain characters were on the Really Rottens. And then every week, the Really Rottens would unsuccessfully attempt to cheat their way to a gold medal. And so I would say this is set up for a Scooby-Doobies versus a Really Rottens episode. They tried to cheat their way. I mean, not only did Arion attempt to rules lawyer his way to victory by giving Duncan one evening to avoid defaulting by rousing 6 knights to fight for him, but he also bribed a knight to pretend to fight for him just to make sure he gets screwed. So that's a really rotten thing to do. I'm just saying.
I had imagined it occurred after he had elected to do it, not before. Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. You're right. Maybe the timing is different.
I mean, it's still suspect and bad.
Yeah, still terrible. But it makes Stefan's ability to lie either better or worse, depending on which one. I think based on his dialogue and out there in internet land, if you guys have an opinion as to whether Stefan, when he initially comes in to be like, I'm fighting for you, does he already know you'll get a lordship if you betray Duncan? I think he did, but I could be wrong on that. So, if you out there have an opinion on that. So there was a great quote. Oh, well, because with Arion, he's definitely king of the Really Rottens. So Egg has this line where he says, he thinks he's a dragon in human form. That's why he was so wroth at the puppet show. And so Darren says, it was a great line, I tip your cap. It's like, a pity he wasn't born a fuss away. Then he'd think himself an apple, and we'd all be a deal safer. Because the Fossaway's symbol is an apple. So he's like, if only he'd been of a house where there wasn't a dragon that was a symbol,
it's
then
like,
it'd be fine. Oh no, the apple's
Oh
coming.
no, it's this story of our town has an apple pie in it. It's clear that I have to.
Exactly. Attack! That's an insult to my family and me, an apple.
What triumph for the nerds? What? The story of Steve Jobs? I have to kill people.
So, book-wise, Arion definitely buys into the notion that he's actually a dragon. And so, spoilers, if you care about that thing, he does not die in this duel.
Wow.
But in later years, convinced that he can transform into an actual dragon by drinking wildfire, which is essentially napalm, he dies horribly. Turns out he was just a narcissistic, emotionally disturbed prince, not a dragon. Not a dragon, Paul. So there you go. That's how he meets his end. But yeah, so he's really into, it's not just that he's like, hey, my family, that's honor. He's like, no, I'm a dragon in human form. And so, he's crazy. We do learn that Tansel and the theater company fled to Dork rather than stick around and become targets.
She left behind her, what she was supposed to do, which is the shield.
Yeah, she painted the shield. Exactly.
The guy who forged it decided to let him off with a really cheap price.
He did, a copper. So it's another person that Duncan has won over with his sense of chivalry. I guess he stood up for the innocent. In this case, Tansel, and so that has garnered him some favor amongst a fair number of folks, including Baylor. So yeah, it's all set up for this 7v7 duel. And that's another thing to comment on is another reason why I thought Stefan was lying from the beginning is, so the morning happens, people show up, Lionel's there, blah 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 blah. And so Duncan assumes Stefan brought them in because Stefan said he was going to go recruit folks. But Lionel makes it clear. He's like, I don't know who this Stevrin is. I don't know what you're talking about. There's a little boy brought in. And so they were all brought in by Egg. Egg, kind of saves the day in that moment. And so I do feel like Stefan had no intention of going and recruiting. He was just going to cut off Duncan. Anyway, there you go. But yeah, so excited for episode 5. So we will be back talking about episode 5. Thanks as always, Paul. Appreciate it, good sir. And we'll talk to everybody next time.
Bye.
Bye.